Hey, good morning. How are you doing,
Hey, good
Judith?
morning. How's it going?
Not too bad. Missing Levy and Big today because they have prior commitments. Both of them technology related, but hopefully they both have great outcomes from what they're working on today.
Especially Levy with the change that
Yeah,
he's doing.
when he said it's a change, it's a post. That's oh boy, those are great
Yeah,
experiences. Yeah, I love change management. Good stuff.
we love it.
Anything?
New releases.
Yeah. Anything new and exciting?
Nothing new other than hopefully I'm getting out of this whole sickness situation that I've been in since spring probably. So my whole spring and summer. But I went on all these different things coming up all the time. But hopefully now, knock on wood, I'm getting out of the woods.
Yeah, I hope so. It's always a challenge. I know you've had a little bit of an experience with technology in the current diagnosis process. How's that gone?
Yeah, I was that was the second time and I needed to go back to urgent care because I out of the blue I my face just started to hurt. It was red, and then that was a Saturday. Then by Sunday morning it was my elbows were full of them, my knees, my feet, and then rashes started to come out as well. So I'm like, what's going on? And it's not that it was itching, it was more hurting. So by Monday, it became so bad that I had to go back to urgent care and just see what's going on, because simply just having some clothes on, it was hurtful. I couldn't do anything. My joints were hurting. It just didn't make sense at all. And then I went back and got in. The doctor came. He was really nice. He was really kind. He asked what's going on. I showed him because that was the easiest way to do, just to demonstrate what's going on. You should have seen his face. He didn't know what it is or how I feel about it, right? And then he started to take pictures. He asked me before if I'm okay with him taking pictures of my face, obviously without my eyes, so really just his piece, my elbows and my knees. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So he took the pictures and then he went out of the room, came back with his laptop. I was just sitting there not knowing what's going on. And then he sat down next to me and then he started talking into his phone. He's like, hey, Peter, have you seen the pictures I sent you? What's going on? And first I thought that he's really talking to someone. Peter came up with a British accent. I'm like, no surprise, it can happen, right? We are in the US. And then Peter started talking and analyzing the picture, and I was still under the impression at the beginning that he was really talking to a live person until it started to make a bit of mistake saying that, hey, now that she is kind of on the recovery path. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's just started today. So the doctor was like, hey, Peter, hold on. No, she's not. It just started yesterday. And the day I started talking. So it was kind of funny. It came down to a conclusion what it was, gave me the medications, but it didn't get better. So next day or the day after, I went to a dermatologist, the same place where my daughter is going with her acne and psoriasis and things like that. So and then it turned out that it was something different. It was basically from the previous urgent care visit where they prescribed like 6 different medications, and there were 2 different antibiotics and a steroid, and the combination of those just started an allergic reaction. Is basically what it was. But it was really funny how, because I remember we talked about it on a previous podcast as well, somewhere at the beginning, that how they are starting to use AI in healthcare as well. I've never seen it in action. This was the first time that I've seen it in action, and it was kind of funny at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's a lot of those same challenges we've talked about. It's going to give you back as much as you put in. So, however you prompt it, for lack of a better way to describe what your doctor had done, the less the amount of detail going in, the more it has to try to find ways to close those gaps. I don't know if it has to, but it does. It's where the
Yeah, I think
hallucination
it's
challenges.
had he fed AI with the previous visit's outcome or the release papers, whatever they are called, probably I would have been able to tell him the same thing, right? That it was probably the combinations, because before I went in, I was reading through the meds as well, because I had a gut feeling that probably it's just a reaction, an allergic reaction. And one of them definitely said that days or weeks or even months after you can get these rashes as a side effect. So that's what I'm saying. Had he gone back, and I'm not, it's not his fault, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that probably he didn't think about it, because I specifically asked if it could be one of the medications, and he was like, no, it's probably not that. So but had he fed in all those meds into AI, probably would have come up with an answer, and then probably a different version of treatment.
Maybe if he watched more TV, he would have seen all the drug commercials and all the disclaimers. Your foot may fall off and all these other things that happen. Maybe he would have known.
Yeah, probably.
Just kidding. No,
No.
it's interesting because, electronic health records have been around for a while, and the purpose is electronically to connect your health history, your experiences, notes taken, etc., so
Yep.
that the current physician has a better picture of your background. Privacy constraints, especially if you go between providers, make it harder to connect those records and to give this AI and give it just a complete picture of who you are and what you're experiencing. It's interesting that in 2026, I would think that AI would be able, it's faster. We know that part. It's going to be faster, but it would be able to tie health record data together more effectively, more efficiently. I don't know what the blockers are, other than maybe provider to provider challenges still exist. The HIPAA privacy requirements, etc. So it's interesting, but it would be awesome if you could benchmark and find out, had a complete medical history of you been provided to whatever they're using for the AI piece, would Peter have given a better output, if you will, for what was being asked?
Well, Peter would have had a better output had he known about my previous visit 1 week before. Something that it hasn't happened. I don't know, when you're talking about the primary care, I know the one that I'm using, she's getting all these information all the time. So I don't know if I have to do just the basic thing for women, the mammogram, right? She's getting that information. They are asking who is, when I make the appointment with the imaging facility, they are asking who is the primary care person, and then how they are sending over, I don't know, somewhere in the background it's happening. But I don't know if it's possible to have it done like on an urgent care, emergency care situation as well, because basically anybody can go there, right? So for them, it would mean that they need to pull every service provider's information and all people information into one system. It might be a challenge, but it's something that would be good to think about to resolve, because it could help a lot.
Or just connect those providers so that they can transfer EHR information back and forth, etc. Because the whole point of an electronic health record is the centralized charts, share your notes, give medication lists so there's no contradictory prescription. If your doctor doesn't know you're taking medicine A and prescribes medicine B, and there's interaction, they wouldn't know that until maybe it got to the pharmacist. Real-time updates and just how that information kind of comes together to give a better picture to the attending physician for you in the moment. That's the interesting part, and I think it's kind of cool how they're using AI. Is going from just dictation to where you're getting automatic summaries of notes into actual, I don't want to call them thought processes, but where they're connecting dots. It's not just a blind note-taking thing. So
are you saying AI doesn't have thought processes?
Still saying AI doesn't have thought processes.
That makes
AI
sense.
is responsive and it knows what we've told it, basically. So that's still pretty cool. I don't know why the physician, I don't know if he had the choice, but I don't know why he chose Peter with a British accent. Does it make a patient feel more comfortable?
I don't know, but when I heard it, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was
Peter,
a personal
British
choice.
accent.
Is that what they use as a standard? It's interesting.
Yeah, but you can, if you think about it, you can do the same thing on Google Map as well.
Yeah, that's true.
You can choose the voice, you can choose the language, you can do a lot of things there as well based on what your preference is. I know it's funny, my daughter changed it. Initially it was in English for her, and then at some point she started to change it to Hungarian. And then for the first time when I sat next to her, she was driving and she had GPS on and it started talking in Hungarian. I'm like, eh? Why did you do that? And she was like, because it's cool. It's cool. Okay.
It's fun. Yeah. I haven't quite found, I look for what's fun in the voice I'm using. And I haven't quite found that typical or stereotypical Southern voice yet, where the words are really, even for me, hard to understand or follow, but they sound funny and they sound cool. And at the same time, if I get to the destination, some hillbilly got me there, it'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be a real Texan.
There you go.
Texan. Hey, we know someone who can give you that. They used to work for him.
No. Does he have an accent?
Oh, that's yeah. He has that. his dialect is, if you want to call it rather dialect than accent, it's that Texan.
That's funny because it really did. I might be filtering it out, but from memory, I don't know.
I'm telling you, I'm hearing it here.
Yeah,
Western
there were a
accent
couple of
here.
the client side team members that did have the Texas accent, and they were clearly from Texas, lived in Texas, and
I'm
that
saying.
I could say. Roy, for example, I don't know if you had a conversation with Roy. Very Texan.
Yep. Yeah. So, but going back to AI, I think we both experienced that Copilot is getting better and smarter.
Right.
It's amazing. I mean, a couple of months ago, I don't know when it was, but a couple of months ago, it was struggling with creating a PPT for me. Out of two PPTs, I just asked him that, hey, what was that? I just wanted to take the branding of one and put it into another one, and it couldn't really do that. And then I just wanted to add an extra column in one of the slides. I was kind of thinking about it for like half an hour to make it happen and made like 16 different steps. And they called out what the 16, 17 different steps were unnecessarily. I finally did it, but I didn't have too good of an experience. Same with, I asked him to create an Excel file. I couldn't do that either. I gave the data. This is what you need to do. This is how I want it to be laid out in the Excel file, column names whatsoever. It couldn't do it. It was just too much. And it was like, oh, I can do that for you, but in Word. No, I don't need it in Word. Thank you. In a table, basically, right? I need it in Excel. And now I had a personal task that I needed to do, and there was this questionnaire, and I didn't really know how to get started based on the questionnaire. I could go ahead and start answering the different questions, but I wanted a story to be told. And I was kind of thinking about it. What do I do? How do I do it? And these questions are like, leave me alone type of questions. So one day I just woke up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask Copilot. Fed the questionnaire into Copilot, gave it the OneDrive link where I wanted it to look for details and give me a story based on that. And on that link, on that OneDrive folder, in that OneDrive folder, I have like 20, 50 different files, different versions, different files, different formats. And it did a good job. I thought that it's going to think about it for like, again, 30 minutes, an hour. In 10 minutes, it just spit it out. And I read it. I knew that I need to go through it, right? Because you don't know what it's going to give you out. You need to check the quality, as we know that. I was reading it. I needed to do some modifications, but it was really good. Way better than the experience that we had a couple of months ago.
Yeah, and my experiences were similar. I've 5 SLPs I'd written 7, 8 years ago, and they were written using templates that were provided by each different organization that required a specific template. So combining the information, they're all related to the same thing, but combining the information into one meaningful document was the task. And Copilot couldn't create the Word document for me from that. It would create a summary and say, well, just copy and paste this into a blank document. Say, well, yeah, I can do that, but why don't you just freaking create the Word doc? You're a Copilot. You're sitting in Word. Create the Word document. Well, give me a blank file to work from. Here's your blank Word document. It couldn't do it. Same thing with Excel. Well, now I've created all this for you. Give me a blank Excel file and I'll create it in Excel. Well, I can't actually create it in Excel, but you can copy and paste this into Excel. Like,
that's it. That's what I had as well.
This is stupid. So in working with content I have already created, all it has to do is combine it, right? In every other LLM, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, they get all create at least a minimum a markdown file, get a .md file. It's all text, but yeah, I can use that. I can work with it. Claude creates native docs, DOCX, Word documents, basically. Why couldn't Copilot do it? I was looking at the releases from last month, and I noticed the same thing. Suddenly, Copilot's improved, and it's in front of me because it's part of Office and the applications. It's in front of me, so I give it a shot. And all of a sudden, Copilot is overnight 10 times better than it's ever been. So go back, look at releases, look at the release notes. What's came out? Well, tighter integration with ChatGPT, Claude, and their most recent language models. Suddenly, Copilot's better because it's maybe leveraging other people's technologies instead of just Microsoft. So I don't know.
Well, why
I didn't
not?
delve into it to see. No, why not? Why recreate the wheel? But I've noticed the same thing. It's a much better tool today than it had been.
It is, and more people are using it as well. So, but again, at the same time, there was another experience from this week. I needed to read through a document, and I was asked to check it because it was obvious that somebody wrote it with AI, but we didn't want it to be sounded like AI, and remove those, I don't know, hyphens. It's putting in
Dashes everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
and dashes in there. So I started reading it. I initially didn't know that it was written, or I wasn't told that it was written by AI, but I could recognize it because of those little things, right? Because I've seen it so many times as well. And then somebody confirmed to me that yeah, it was written by AI and there are some mistakes. So just go through it for me and make sure that whatever is in there is the relevant information. So I was reading through, and yeah, there were some mistakes. So still not everybody using AI understands. It seems that you still need to fact check and
Yeah,
quality check
definitely.
whatever it is, because it might, if you just scan through it, it might seem fine, but when you start reading word by word, you're going to recognize that yeah, something doesn't make sense. No, this is not that it, blah 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 blah. So had to do that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. People are going to get used to it. It just goes back to again what we talked about so long ago. Well, for so long, not so long ago, for so long, that it's the quality and the output.
Yeah,
People understands and trust fully that hey, it's automation, it's AI, it knows everything. No, it doesn't.
that's true. And the funny thing is so there's not only M dashes, but you've also got other markers that have always been there. The way AI writes something, it's not this, it's this. The same examples over and over and over again, just different topics, different words. So you start to subconsciously pick up on this stuff, and you can recognize the AI slop. I've seen a lot of really nice articles written that as you read through them, you're going, it's a good article. Problem is,
Yeah.
it's not original. It's not your creation. And now I'm just basically rereading stuff I've already read somewhere else. That's fine. You've consolidated it. Great. Good for you. But it's not, doesn't have that authentic feel. And so now with the current watermarks, where you're not seeing visual objects that identify this is AI written, AI derived. The challenge I have with it is the way the watermarks work is it's the predictive. I've got these 5 words that could be the next word, and AI will always choose this word over this word over this word, etc. And they've hidden the way they're showing a watermark is this is AI generated because, well, the problem is I've gotten comfortable with some of the output from AI, so I give it my content and it regurgitates it back to me. So now my writing style is changing. I'm writing kind of more like AI. So even if I write something, there's AI traits in it now because I like them. I liked what it said. What I originally wrote was fine, but this is better. It's crisper, sharper, to the point. So I'm adapting a writing style that includes some of those characteristics. Is everything I write going to be flagged as AI generated now? I don't know.
Well, based on
That's
Nori's experience, it could be. Yeah.
could very well be. So it goes back to our discussions previously about when do you finally let the calculator into the classroom? It's a tool. What is the cutoff where it's acceptable to use that tool? I think that trajectory for AI is still on the upswing. Is a lot of people don't want to see that crap, especially in the classroom. You don't want
But they
AI
are.
thinking for the student. You want the student thinking.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
remember the example I gave you guys a couple of months ago. A friend of mine and her niece, I think 9 years old, whatever, created a PPT for school with AI in like 10 minutes or less than 10 minutes. And my friend was looking at it, an adult, right? He was looking at it, reading it, going through it, and yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And then she was asking her niece whether she knows what she was writing or what AI has written to her, and whether she understands it and can sell it, right? Talking to it in class. And the answer is no.
Right.
So kids are resourceful. They know it's there, right? They are going to create and do whatever they need to do just to get past the grade or whatsoever that is the test, but it doesn't mean that it's going to stick in their heads. And
Yeah.
that's a problem, because you can have an AI output and you can memorize it, but if somebody is going to ask you a question about it, you're not going to know it because it's not you who wrote it.
I agree. Now, here's the thing, though, Judith. The same principle applies. If I read the textbook explaining a topic and memorized what was in this textbook and I passed a test for it, is that different than AI generated this information and I'm memorizing it, or I'm just using what it generated and I'm passing the test as well. Both can be factual, both can be wrong. Textbooks are not always perfect. AI definitely is not always perfect. It has the propensity to pull in more garbage than a textbook does. But you see, my point is it's not that different. But at the end of the day, is what I learned from the textbook truth? If it is, good for me. If is what I learned from AI truth, same thing. Good for me. I've learned it.
Like the textbooks, at least we know in the past as well, and I think we touched point on it in one of the sessions. In the past, you needed to go into the library, right? Put some effort in there if you were researching something. There is probably it's just an assumption that everything that's in the books in the library is going to be true. But to your point, are we sure?
Yeah, and
in the past it was.
And in a lot of cases, though, it's not. But I understand where you're going in, and I have the same concerns as well. So I get done faster with AI, so I can go do what? Open my phone and start doom scrolling and Instagram or whatever, the waste of my time. And at the end of the day, for both scenarios, how long do I retain any knowledge I gain? I don't know. There's a lot of work to be done. I don't fear the leveraging of technology to get better. I just don't know that people are disciplined enough to stay on track and make things better. So when I look at who created from 1900 to 2000, who created the most innovation, what segments of the economy, and what was the driver behind it? If you let's look at flight, you go from barely flying to mass transportation in jumbo jets in less than, well, not even 100 years, much less shorter window there. Within 30, 40 years, really mass transportation by air. That's a significant achievement. That's fantastic. Will these tools today help us accomplish something equivalent?
That's what I don't know.
I don't know either. I hope so. They are faster. They do make things a little bit more efficient.
Yeah.
That's how they're used.
What we are talking about, again, we are talking about mental things, right? Like Levy's example, hey, now we have dishwasher in the house as well, right? We didn't have that. We needed to go down to the river and start washing our dishes and our clothes and whatsoever. Yeah, but we are talking about some products here, right? That we are using around the house. And yes, it made our lives easier, so on and so forth. No denial there. But now with AI, yes, you can use it everywhere in many other places and many markets, but it's still more in the head, I believe, at least.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've used it in spurts, right? I get excited, especially when some of the new models come out, and all of a sudden it's changed so dramatically that I can see it. But as soon as I'm desensitized, those new features, the changes that were introduced last month, they wear off faster. And so I don't necessarily go back to the tool again as quickly as I would have previously, and I kind of just start poking around. And then when I have a need that requires, hey, let's like consolidating documents is a great example. I want to consolidate all this knowledge I've got into one meaningful document. Then I'll go back to it. And then it's fleeting, if that makes sense. I have this inspiration to use it, and then it just kind of goes by the wayside. It's not something I incorporate every day. And it's definitely not something I'm going to trust to do work for me behind the scenes. I'm not there.
Not there just yet.
So
there's still a lot to evolve.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the next year or two will probably be phenomenal for the advancement. But will it be like that moonshot? I don't know. You give the challenge in 1963 and you're on the moon by 1969. Will it be like that? I don't know.
No, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Need to wait and see, man.
See, now I got to go back and find out, when did JFK say that?
I don't know. When day was it, the 60s?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Will it be as dramatic as when OpenAI released ChatGPT in 2022? And suddenly our work life changed. We were talking about it weekly. We were looking at how can we leverage it, what examples are out there, and we were starting to ignore the stuff or tools we already had. We were starting to focus on, hey, can this do this? Can it do that? Kind of forgetting in an automation space, we already had a selection of tools that were doing the job fine. A fantastic job. So it'll be interesting to see.
We'll see, and we'll be here to talk about it.
I hope so. I hope the robots don't take over and kick us off.
Hopefully not. But if it's up to Levy, they are going to take over. That's for sure.
He's leading edge, bleeding edge. He's probably closer to right than we are. So we'll find out. We'll ask him next week.
We'll ask him next week.
Well, good discussion. Hope you have a great week.
You have a great week ahead as well, starting tomorrow, not today.
Starting today, and Freedom 250 in about an hour. So we'll be good. We'll watch the little Indy race and see how it goes.
Awesome. Have fun with
All right.
that.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.